Nerdsplaining podcast. I'm your host, Eric Da Silva. With me, as always, my co-host, Jose Romero.
Greetings and salutations, nerds out there. It's been a while, a couple weeks. We're back here. Eric's actually on the road doing some comic stuff, so the audio may be a little bit off. A little bit forewarning you guys. We apologize. We'll do it best we can. But you're back on the road. We're back doing our show. A lot of stuff going on.
That's how much I miss doing this show. I couldn't wait to get back in town. Like, we'll do it on the road. I'm on it. The Wi-Fi will be damned, and it's damning us, but I'll make it work. And it's fine because it's Friday the 13th.
That's right. It is Friday the 13th. And
it is a spooky day.
There is, man. I like Friday the 13th. I like it. Nothing bad really happened. Not to me anyway, but it's the day's too early. Maybe
and also, just so you know, guys, if you're following Danger Squad online, we just released the full colored cover to the book. So be sure to check that out, and all the Danger Squad-y type things and Nerdsplaining stuff will probably be shared too. But yeah, just want to let you guys know.
Well, don't check it out now. Wait till the end of the show, then go check it out.
It's there.
There's a pecking order to what's going on.
You can just whenever you want.
I'm just saying.
This now, that later. Yeah.
Exactly. And with the drink in hand, of course, it is Friday. Why not? But that being said, we're back. We're ready to get into some good stuff. A few nuggets. Things are opening up. And I know last show I had mentioned the strike was still going on. The writer strike anyway. And I had mentioned it was going to end very soon. And it did. They ratified the deal. They're back to work. Well, not everybody's back to work. But most of the writers are. Specifically, some writers from Disney are not back to work. More specifically, some writers for Marvel aren't back to work. And even more specifically, some writers from Daredevil aren't back to work. But we'll get to that a little bit later. That's the big story for the week.
Talking about burying the lead.
You know, right, we're going to tease it and we'll circle back on that. But other than that, most of the writers, I'm sure, are back to work. But unfortunately, I thought that, I think everyone thought that, the thought process was that, okay, now the actors will get off strike, or make a deal, whatever, strike a deal. And hasn't happened yet, and I think I read somewhere yesterday that they had a setback. They had some negotiations go awry. They walked out. And from what I understand, the offer made by the studios was actually less than the original offer prior to the strike. So that's not a good thing. So they're not heading in the right direction. So
who is running these studio offers? They keep dropping the ball. I mean, think about it. They shortchanged the writers, and they gave the writers a lot of what they wanted. Now they're shortchanging art. Like, what do you do? Unless this is all planned by the studios to give the writers that they're getting buffer to change scripts up before you get the beautiful people to go straight to shoot.
Maybe. I don't know what's going on, but yeah. So at least one's out of the way for whatever that's worth. But things are still stalling in terms of filming, so expect more delays or continual delays, etc., etc. We'll follow up with that once the strike is going to end at some point. But listen, they don't want to pay the actors, they pay the writers, and the budget's gone. They're raising our rates, and now we got to pay for the salaries, and I guess that's how it is. Disney's raising their rates again for the third time in a year. For Christ's sake, at least give us some good content, Disney, before you raise the rates. I'll forgive Netflix. They give us good shit here and there. But they're also raising the rates as well.
It's in preparation of good stuff. That's what I'm thinking. It's in preparation of good stuff. Because one of the stories we have is literally changing course because of preparation of good stuff. So,
yeah, not too mystic about that. But we'll get into all that. We'll get into all that of the disaster, which I knew 6 months ago when I said it, but you didn't believe me, and I told you it was garbage. Who was believe me? Kevin Feige, which is why he did what he did. I'm just saying, I'm smarter than Kevin Feige. Everybody knows that because Kevin Feige kind of sucks now. We'll get into that later, too. He might as well be eating dinner with Kathleen Kennedy. And I'll get to all this good stuff later. Trust me. It's a disaster for Marvel. It really is. But let's get on to another disaster. Before we get to that disaster, let's get to the disaster that is DC. And a couple of things coming out. The first is not a disaster. Well, kind of. And it's not Aquaman. We know that's going to be a disaster, let's be honest. But speaking of Aquaman, Jason Mamoa, which is not, I can't really say it's breaking news. I think you and I spoke about it way back. Jason Mamoa, he came out of some meeting all excited, like a kid in the candy store.
Super excited.
Super excited. And we all just kind of speculated what this could be. We kind of hoped it would be Lobo. And I guess all reports are confirming that, yes, indeed, it is Lobo. It's saying he's in talks, which is inaccurate because right now actors aren't talking to anybody. So
exactly.
I think this story really means he spoke they had spoken in the past, and now he is hired and cast as Lobo, which I'm sure they'll announce soon. The tidbit here is that he might be in Superman Legacy.
Right.
Which is interesting, right?
Because Lobo is a physical threat to Superman. Not as strong as, but he can get down. You can knock Superman around. He's, Superman holds back, obviously, but like on the day-to-day, Lobo is problematic to him physically.
Do you think you have a big... if he's in... I mean, that didn't say for sure is in Legacy. That's the word. I mean, there's a lot of different characters. We got the Green Lantern character's going to be in there. A couple other ones. You think it's going to be... He's not the villain in this. Let's make that clear.
I think he's going to... Because Lobo is an intergalactic bounty hunter for hire. I think he might be the mid-level boss. Not the big boss. The mid-level big bad. The guy, the muscle that gets hired. And Superman's like, who sent you? And then he goes after that guy.
Okay, but he's an anti-hero essentially.
Anti-hero, but like Deadpool. Deadpool is a merc, and Lobo is a bounty hunter, right? So
yeah, of course. So okay, maybe he's going after the villain who shows up in Superman. I don't know, potentially, and that's why they kind of cross paths, I guess.
Or the villain is where Superman sends Lobo to soften him up a bit.
Potentially,
yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah, potentially. First of all, we knew this is great casting. When we talked about it, months ago, and it can't get more perfect than that.
This is great casting when they cast him as Aquaman, and I was like, why are you putting him as Aquaman? That should be Lobo.
Exactly right. Hindsight 2020, and look, better late than never. This was a smart move. It's his perfect casting. I mean, the comics seem like they just drew Jason Mamoa. You know what I'm saying? It's uncanny.
Lobos always look like Jason Mamoa. Jason Mamoa modeled his look
probably, yeah. We'll say that, right?
But instead of leather, he's like, how about if he did it in Hawaiian style? And that's yeah.
I mean, yeah, it can. And I like Jason Mamoa. He's really good. He's got charismatic. He's very charismatic. Yeah, so it works perfectly. Then he has a lot of screen presence. Not everything does is great. Let's not push it that far. But I mean, I liked him as Aquaman. He wasn't, the issue with that. I don't think so personally.
He made the Aquaman role and movie not such a mental drain. Like I was like, okay, I can see why people like it. Yeah, it's not for me, but I can see why, because he's very he has sort of like not exactly Robert Downey Jr., but in that Robert Downey Jr. sphere, Jason Mamoa is on the outer rank of that. Absolutely.
Yeah, just pops out on screen like The Rock, right? Like The Rock does. He has the screen presence, and no matter what he does, you like what he's doing, not necessarily what's around him, but that's a different story. So that's interesting. At least now we know it's true, unless something changed between now and then. But come on, we knew this was coming, and it's so official. But let's stick with WB, because this is an interesting story that I was surprised to read this. The Warner Bros. Is potentially going to be sold to another studio, maybe. Universal's name's been thrown around.
Right.
It's all speculation, but where there's smoke, there's fire. So let's see. Which is odd because they just bought it, with the Discovery, but 2 years ago, a year ago, whenever it was. So they're gonna reset it again. Yeah, it hasn't been that long to sell again. Is interesting, particularly if it does go to a Universal. Universal's begging for IP and to have DC in their stable. Come on, it's a no-brainer.
It solves the problem right there.
Right, exactly, because I think all they have now is Fast and Furious, and that's run its course, pun intended. I mean, it's really bad. So they could have a little punch or something with them. So it makes sense. Again, it might be a year, maybe a couple years. These things take time. But that being said, I mean, this kind of sucks because honestly, new management, right? New studio. I think it's a very short leash with James Gunn. And
you think so?
Listen, when you buy something, right? Because it happens everywhere. We see it. We see. Look, David Zaslav. He got rid of almost not everybody. We got a lot of people, brought his own people in there. He brought in James Gunn and all that. So it happens all the time, right? Everywhere you go in sports, business, it's the way it goes. So let's assume they are acquired by whomever, Universal. They may say, well, if DC's track record was better, sure, right? If it ain't broke, but it's broke. It hasn't been fixed yet. We don't know if it's going to be fixed with James Gunn. Maybe it is. Maybe it's not.
Well, to be fair, Universal's no one to point fingers on, because if you remember Dark Universe, no Universe.
No doubt.
Listen, the bad.
No doubt. So, I mean, they haven't, they don't have a track record either. But honestly, it's possible, right? So, maybe Superman Legacy comes out, and if that tanks, could we see another change? It's a disaster. It's a potential disaster.
I mean, the truth is that if it tanks, it's over. If Universal buys it, it's over. That's true.
No,
but
no
if it succeeds, Universal's like, keep going.
Oh no, yeah, I think
Because you obviously got to hit. All you need is one hit to make three. If you have one hit in 3 mediocre movies, it's considered a success.
No, I mean,
so if Superman hits, you get 3 mid movies, and you're still killing the game.
No, you're fine. The only thing, I mean, because before, if they weren't gonna get sold, let's assume Superman doesn't hit. Fine. I think it doesn't matter in terms of James Gunn will continue as with the chorus and make more movies. But with Universal, I think he gets one and done. Now he has to hit. Again,
you think so?
I think so. This is true again because, again, new company. They might say, "Let's see what you can do." Oh, that sucked. Forget it. Well, why take a chance? We just bought. They're gonna pay billions for this, right? For Warner Bros. I mean, they're not gonna take a chance and lose money on something. They can't, and I understand that. And I totally get it. So this could be a potential mess down the road. We'll see. But that's interesting. I haven't heard that. I didn't hear it till I think it was 3-4 days ago when I heard about this. I'm like, oh wow, they're gonna sell, maybe, potentially. That's interesting. I think that's why maybe they're making so many cuts to save money to make their bottom line a little bit bigger. The bigger the bottom line, the more money they save, the more the company's worth. It all makes sense. So I get it. Zaslav buys it for X, sells it for X, makes money. Okay, I get it.
He's out. He's got to deal with superhero fans. Yeah, he's done.
He's done. Right. He doesn't care, and he still keeps Discovery maybe, but we'll see. But that's definitely a story to keep an eye on because that got huge effects. Now that's that disaster out of the way. Let's move to the next disaster. So let's talk about Marvel.
Wait, what's the next one? Okay, before we go, did you hear about the DC post that James Gunn did about who he's keeping and when DC officially starts?
Oh, as far as James Gunn talks so much, which is good and bad. But with Commandos,
yeah,
what is it?
he said that Peacemaker, the kid who plays Blue Beetle. Right. Amanda Waller, and the kid the guy who plays Vigilante Peacemaker. Those 4 will be carried over to his DCU. So now that whole statement is in question because if Universal buys it, that's all thrown out the door as well.
Who knows? Because we didn't know when he's
so it has an extra layer.
But yeah, he did confirm, and I think he said that we thought that Superman Legacy was going to kick this off, but he said Creature Commandos. Is that right? Well, is that
Creature Commandos?
He said that's
Creature Commandos is the first.
That's actually Superman the first thing, but right? that's a TV show, right? If I'm not mistaken, wasn't that an animated series? Right. Okay. Yeah. But technically,
it's a 6 or 8 episode animated series. Yeah.
But I don't think, although that's going to start it, it really starts as Superman. Let's make that clear, right? Creature Commandos could be great or it's terrible.
Yeah. For most people, it's going to be Superman.
Right.
For us, it's going to be Creature Commandos on Max. In anticipation, but that's for most people, it's going to be Superman.
Of course, exactly. So, although that's the case, because we know all the cartoons are all going to, be part of the same universe and all that, so that's going to be interesting. But yeah, I did read about that. Again, we'll see. What 2025 with Superman, that might get delayed. Who knows? Who knows now what the hell's going on with the writer's strike and shit? But whatever. But again, that being said, so now let's talk some disaster here. So we got Marvel, Blade. Let's talk Blade. The movie which was announced, I think I was still in high school, which says a lot because it's been a long, long time.
No, that was the first Blade.
Maybe that's right. But they made this announcement. I think it was 2018, 17. It's been 5 or 6 years when they announced.
I think it was like 19, really.
It's been. I think it's before. Either way, it's been a while since they actually announced it. Mahershala Ali going to be the role of Blade. It's been a long time, and we've gotten shit since then. It's been a few rewrites, which we talked about, and change of direction, and the last script was terrible. Ali hated it, and yada, yada, yada.
And by the way, I'm totally cool with all that. I'm totally cool with getting it just right.
Oh, no, of course. But now, the part they got from True Detective, which makes sense. I think he did the second one, I believe. I might be mistaken there, which I think Ali was, he started in the second True Detective on HBO. But apparently, they didn't like that script either. So they're getting a new rewrite. The third, getting a new rewrite. You're right, the third one. A new rewrite on Blade again. So they didn't like what was presented. So there's I think the 4th rewrite. They can't seem to get this right. And listen, there's rewrites all the time. Let's make that clear, right? And this or redrafts or whatever. But now we're going on the new creative force behind it, and they don't like what they've done. They just can't seem to crack this code on Blade. I don't know what the hell is going on over there, but now I think
Here's the thing
this has
about
been delayed
Blade.
like 3 or
It's
4 times as it
really
is.
easy.
What happened?
It's super easy to do a Blade movie.
Apparently not.
What you do?
Apparently not.
What you do is you make the Matrix, but instead of robots, they're vampires. Done. That's it.
You would think we're that easy, but I don't know what's going on. I don't know what they're looking for the Blade or what. I don't know. I'm not sure what's going on. Blade's not an easy fit for what the MCU gives us now, so I can understand that. I don't know. Maybe they're trying to get too dark with it. Who knows? Because we don't know what the hell has been written, so I'm not sure. But it's just odd. I think this guy might be like 90 years old by the time this movie comes out.
Underworld had like 7 spin-offs, and it was the I don't say it was dumb, but it was the simplest version of vampire versus werewolves. Like it's really not that hard to make an action vampire movie.
It really isn't.
Hard, I understand. You gotta do details, you gotta have an angle. If you're gonna do a drama, you gotta have factions that just deal with the interconnectivity. And an action movie about the vampire hunter, it's straightforward, man. It's right there.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't know what's going on with this project, man. It's weird. Maybe they just can't fit into the MCU. Blade could be his own thing, and I think no one's going to blink an eye, honestly. You don't have to fit Blade into the greater MCU scheme. You really don't. Blade could be its own separate thing. Like, Guardians is kind of like that to some degree. I don't know. Maybe whatever it is, whatever code it is, whatever secret sauce they're trying to find.
If you want to connect it, like in the third act, you find out that there's a government program that's trying to create super soldiers, and they're trying to use vampire blood as a catalyst. Boom, connected. That's all you need is that little 6-minute scene, and you're done. That's it. It's connected. Now you go back to the rest of the story. That's all you need. You don't have to do any more than that.
Agreed. I just don't think why is this so hard. I don't understand why it's so hard. And I get the first script because I heard it was like 2 action sequences. Come on, it's Blade. That's unacceptable. Right. So I get that. I don't know what the issues are beyond that. I really don't know. I mean, it's just easiest we'll put some more action sequences in there and you can solve the problem. But it was the entire script. I wasn't just that because that was an easy fix. If it was just the action sequences, okay, create 2 or 3 more, not a big deal, and you move on. So this is gonna be delayed again. I mean, it might be like my 80th reunion in high school before you get this film. It's kind of disappointing.
My daughter's already in high school, so when she's a senior, maybe we'll find out it's starting production. So
yeah, very odd. So who knows what the hell's going on with that? Now, I don't have a thing for this, but that's okay. So let's move on to, before we get to some of the shows and finales and stuff like that we're going to talk about. The other disaster is, of course, Daredevil. We've all heard the news, right? Daredevil. And it was funny because I was going to bring up 2 separate the articles about Daredevil before the bomb dropped. The first one was that it had a secure release date, got pushed back to 2025, in January or something like that. Which is like, oh, okay.
Right.
Which I guess it made sense because of the strike and all that. Fair enough. And then a story came out with the synopsis of Daredevil. I wish I had that. I don't have that with me. Like I said, it has system issues. But I don't know, Eric, did you hear about the synopsis before, like a couple of days ago?
I heard it was closer to a court case procedural and not so much superhero.
Right.
So it's going to be very much about.
Yes, Fisk and you know.
There's going to be 3 different court cases that they would deal back to back, and like one connects the other, and then those would spiral into sort of like the back end story of like the Daredevilness, but it would be like almost like 70% courtroom stuff, very Law and Order kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's very odd or something. And I heard something about Fisk and I guess trying to do good and the forces pulling him back.
Right, Fisk is like either the mayor or running for the mayor, and his platform is no vigilantes.
Right.
So that would be like the catalyst of it.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's anything to do with. I know Born Again is a series, right? Well, it's called Born Again.
Born Again is an arc series, in the comics. A story. It's one of the. It's like it is like in terms of comic book stories, it is right up there with like how like Dark Phoenix is an X-Men story. That is Born Again. It's one of those quintessential runs that really made the character what he is now.
Because that synopsis did not sound like Born Again, unless I'm mistaken.
No.
Okay, gotcha.
In fact, Daredevil season 3 on Netflix was closer to what Born Again was than what they right.
Okay, so those are 2 stories that came. I was like, okay, well, we're getting some movement, right? And then the bomb drops. Here we go, the disaster where this, I mentioned earlier, the strike came off. People get off strike, and they fired the directors and all the writers off this project, which not unheard of. But the problem is that they filmed 9 episodes. There were
6.
No, it was 9. I gotta confirm. It was 9.
I heard it was 6. Oh wow, okay.
It was 9. So they did half of them. So apparently they took a look at them sometime in September when the decision was made, and clearly it didn't work.
Right.
So they axed the whole thing. So now they're gonna start over. And I'll say this because, which is why I make light of Kevin Feige and what he's been doing lately, and it's been mediocre at best. But we gave Kathleen Kennedy a lot of shit for allowing 8% of Solo to be filmed, not knowing what the hell was going on, then decided to change it. Why are we waiting 9 episodes to realize it doesn't work? It doesn't sound right to me. First of all, and the scripts were that bad.
Because the scripts were written before they filmed it. They knew what they were getting.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. You knew what was on paper. Nothing's changed. I mean, if it was the directors, you want to get fine, but you followed the writers. So it's a whole thing was just bad. It's bad.
Do you know what changed? I'll tell you what changed. The numbers for Secret Invasion came in.
Well, yeah, you're right.
And they're like, wow.
Oh no, that's...
we gotta fix all of this.
Which I mean, what I've been saying. I mean, listen, if they're, I said from the beginning, 18 episodes was a terrible idea.
That was a big commitment.
And I said that from the get go. I said you don't do TV at 8, not anymore. 20 years ago, sure, on a more like episodic kind of thing.
Absolutely,
but not the way TV's done now, more serialized the way it is now. It just doesn't work. So that was an issue. Secondly, we saw a little bit of Daredevil. We saw a little bit of Fisk. I know some people liked it. Some people like myself was trash. I was right because Feige agreed with me, which is why he got fired because it was trash. Which means, why is Kevin Feige not doing his job? Why do I know this before the thing even films? I told you this was not going to work. It was not as currently constructed. I was at 100% correct. And if they spent God knows how much money for the first 9 episodes, it's expensive. And now they got to put more money into this show to restart it, new writers, new production, etc., pay the actors again for more time. Dude, 9 episodes is a lot. That's a full season for most other shows for the most part.
Sure is.
And this isn't a heavy CGI. I'm sure they didn't spend uber.
Luckily, it's not a heavy CGI.
But still,
right.
It's still not cheap. It's expensive. These actors
are
expensive. The shows, the sets, the film, all that's been done for 9. I don't know what the hell's going on. It's just that's a disaster. That's really a disaster. I mean, I'm glad they stopped it.
I wouldn't go as far as a disaster. It is a definite ball drop. Someone dropped the ball huge, and now they're trying to fix it. Now, I heard, like, part of the problem with what I heard about the episodes that they filmed is that Matt Murdock doesn't get into costume until episode 4. That is way too long.
That's egregious.
To not get him in costume or in an action sequence.
Correct. But I mean, I know, like, no, you're right, because even in Netflix, he was already Daredevil. Not in his true costume, but he was already Daredevil. So no.
But he was
already kicking ass.
I would also accept if he was Matt Murdock in a suit being Daredevil, which we've seen. Mm-hmm. I'm cool with that too. He doesn't need to be in a costume as long as he's being Daredevil. Daredevil is not just a costume. But if you're focusing strictly on the courtroom, I like Daredevil to be courtroom adjacent, not courtroom first.
Yeah, this is not a courtroom drama. Let's just make that clear. No, it's not.
It's a superhero with a courtroom aesthetic.
Oh, of course. When they're setting the background of the justice and all that. Of course, that's what he does for a living. That's his day job. Fair enough, right?
Nobody watches Batman because they want to see how a billionaire's day is.
Right. They don't want to see Bruce Wayne punch the clock. We don't want to see Clark Kent writing his article. No one gives a fuck about that. Let's be honest, right?
Maybe on season 5, I want to see an article. What does Clark Kent's voice actually sound like on paper? Maybe. But until then, punch your planet. Yeah, that's what I want. So, yeah.
Well, we said this, and I'll say this is only the light at the end of the tunnel. Because we talked about this strike could be good for Marvel in particular because it gives them the time to, let's take a break and reassess, right?
Really evaluate everything.
Was that what we're doing? I don't know. But I
think it is.
Maybe. Well, on the TV side, I'll say yes because, and again, it's just why this is on Feige. We give him credit when things go great. He gets the blame when things go wrong. You kind of have it both ways, right? So when I started doing shows, and I think by the 3rd show, by Winter Show, and I said this to it. I said, Marvel doesn't know how to do TV. They just don't. I'm not saying it was awful, but they don't know how to write TV, and that has not been disproven. Right. They've only confirmed it by this because I heard another story. I read something. I'm not sure this is confirmed or not, but they were kind of looking at doing more traditional television, i.e., hiring showrunners, which they haven't done before.
Now they're going to do it. Now.
But from what I hear, now. Right.
Part of that is that you have a showrunner, you have a show Bible, and they're going to make people tape an actual pilot before you go to series.
Perhaps,
that's amazing. That's what you should be doing.
Cut budgets. They should have been doing this from the beginning, which is what I've been saying. They just don't. I'm not saying our shows are bad, or some were bad, some I liked, but they didn't know how to do shows, which is why most of the time they fizzled out. They were
thinking, we'll just make a 6-hour movie.
Right, which doesn't work. There's a reason why movies are 2.5 hours, right? Most movies are 2 hours and a half for a reason, right? And a lot of these shows are driven by the directors. In film, you do that. The directors try, because you can take a shitty script and make something good out of it. In TV, that doesn't work.
But a TV series, the writers drive the series.
The writers are the ones that should be driving it, and of course behind the showrunner, in front of the showrunner. So I'm hoping that's true, because they desperately need that. And you talk about Secret Invasion. That's like a great example of what happens when...
That was one of the prerequisites. That was a prerequisite for the writer's strike. Every room needs a showrunner.
Yes.
And then Marvel said, oh, yeah, you're right. We should have a showrunner. And we should have a show Bible. And I was like, yeah, like a TV series. Dude. So, yeah.
Why it took them 2 years? That's what I'm saying. I just don't know why it took them so long to figure this out. And it's very DC.
I think, really honestly, it was a thing where they wanted to do just a short couple of miniseries at first, and then because of the pandemic and the rush for content, they just threw it all at the wall. Who knows? Whatever happened. So
I know they said they're going to come back.
And we...
Go ahead.
And we said this before on the show. Both of you and me and I said this on the show. If that decision went bad, which it did, there's going to be about a year and a half of like getting punched drunk and trying to come to realization, and then going to make major shifts. I think we're at if you fuck around, you find out. They're in the find out phase right now. They're making the shifts. Oh yeah. They're realizing, we should have done this like TV people do this. Our bad. But at least they're making a change. I have no problem. Listen,
no. Listen,
money because you screwed up, fine.
Make the change.
Be a better product, though.
Yeah, make the change. And that's why I would like them to keep this separate from the MCU. In terms of the cinematic universe is one thing.
I don't. I think it should be, but I don't think it should be directly connected. It should be sort of like if this is
they could be in the same world. They could be in the same world, but
series are cousins.
Which is fine.
They're like the cousin. They're like living in another state.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with it. But you don't have to. Yeah, but they don't have to.
That's how they have to.
Yeah, you don't have to see a movie. I have to rely on shows to know what's going on. And that's that connectivity.
Right.
You don't
need,
exactly. Right. So I'm hoping they. I don't know if they are.
The show
should be its own thing.
The show should be like a or supplemental, but not a requirement.
Exactly. Maybe.
That's what. If you make a TV show. If you make a TV show that's connected to the movie, the people in the movie should know what the fuck's going on in that TV show.
Right. Well, yeah, that's true.
They need to know, like, oh, wow, you did that? Okay, cool. We're going to have to address that in this movie about the TV show.
Yeah,
not just, we'll make it up and go along. No.
Yeah, so they need a lot of work. I mean, look, Marvel stuff, I talked about. I'm not saying it's shit, but they're going through they're going some bumps in the road, right? And even, look, we know that the ratings for Secret Invasion were terrible. We get that, which is well-deserved because that wasn't a great show. The Marvels, right?
It was a waste of an opportunity, really, man.
It really was.
Big waste of an opportunity.
That's one of the best comics. The one, Secret Invasion, that's like iconic, right, in terms of Marvel, the comic. And
it really is. It's such a fun conspiracy, intense paranoia, and they threw a...
They bastardized that shit. They really did.
Yeah, like we've talked about it. It didn't have to have all the superheroes. You could have had all the human Avengers. And that would have been awesome. Been cool, you could have brought in S.H.I.E.L.D. You could have been a whole, like, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., you could have brought that in. You could have brought in people like we talked about it. Like, you would have been your Hawkeyes, your Black Widows. You could have brought in a Moon Knight because it's not really a big power. You could have even done Daredevil. It's a great introduction. Instead of putting him in She-Hulk, put him there, and it would have been a great introduction. And the whole conspiracy, keep it real human level.
Yeah.
It was
a huge missed opportunity.
Wasted opportunity.
Of course. I mean, so they're not, the movies haven't done as well. We got Marvels. The story got released today about their projections not looking good for them. I think the pre-sales were at 60% less than even Ant-Man. That's not a good thing.
Yikers.
Yeah, so it may open at 50 to 60, which is okay, but that's not big numbers at all for that. And that movie's going to be around $300 million mark as far as cost. That's expensive. It's going to lose money. I guarantee it's going to lose money. They're not promoting it a lot. So they're not. Listen, they're reading back, which is why I wish they take a break, man. Take a break. I get it. Take a
break. Take a breather.
break. We don't need all this stuff coming out now. I'd rather them take a year off, 2 years, and give us quality than to just rush it off because they want our stuff on. We don't need it.
I think this is the last thing they're gonna get out before. I think.
Well, the thing is, they already have Captain America film and Thunderbolts, so that could be part of the.
Well, they have some of Captain America film and some of the Thunderbolts film. They're not the full, but they're not finished.
But they're gonna release it. Obviously, it's a full go. They're not gonna stop them. I doubt they're not gonna.
I know, but they could still tweak it and even go back to reshoots,
perhaps,
to make that work.
Perhaps it depends on the money because they're trying to save money too. So that's you want to save money, you don't want to.
If you're saving money, don't do another series. Just do that. Make more money on that.
Stop the TV shows. Focus on the film first. If
that's what I'm saying. If you need to cut a TV show,
and let's do TV later. Right? We don't need TV right now. Yeah. We're fine.
If you need to push back a TV show to dump that money into making that movie work, make that movie.
We don't need Agatha Harkness. We don't need. Who cares? Let's be honest. Who cares? We don't need that shit. I'm sure it'll be fine, but we don't need it. We don't want it now, right? Focus on getting the next Avengers going because that's. I don't know what's going on with that. We'll maybe get to that.
Look, if people are like, "Oh, but what am I going to watch?" All the stuff you haven't watched on Disney Plus, just tons of it that you've blown off. If you need new content, it's their way.
There's like 8 other streamers.
Because according to the numbers, a lot of people have not watched that stuff yet. So go watch that stuff.
There's 8 streamers, all good shows on. There's plenty to watch. Trust me, you're not going to miss more. There's a whole lot of shit going on, and Gen V's coming on. We'll talk about that in a minute. But let's take a break from Marvel for a second. Let's go to the next disaster, which is of course Ahsoka. Very divided Ahsoka from what I hear. The finale came out. I haven't been liking the show. I know you have. Some people have. Some people haven't. It is what it is. The ratings just actually somebody came out with their finale ratings. Not good. 30% drop from the first episode, so that's not good. You never want to see the show project down. We talked about projecting up. Right. So it lost 30-some percent of the audience. What does that tell you? Right. Whether we think it's great or not, it's irrelevant. Right. People weren't really digging the show. I think it was too inside baseball. That's a huge drop in viewership for one another. I think by the third week it was already out of the top 10 of top 10 of shows being watched and streaming. It was still in the top 10 of original shows, down to 7th or 8th by the third week. That's not good. That's not good. So people weren't digging the show, and I know why. Believe me, I know why, because the show is not good. It's not. The finale, man, for me was a disaster. It really was. Some people liked it, and I get it. But
is everything a disaster to you? Holy shit! Is everything a disaster to you?
Listen, you ask.
It was a fun series. I really liked it. I liked it more.
I get it.
At the end than I did at the beginning.
I understand people did I understand that, but guess what? 30% of the audience didn't, and that's a tremendous. When I say disaster, 30% drop off is more than disaster. I'm being nice by saying disaster. 10% is okay. 30% of the audience leaves the show. That's a disaster. That's a horrible way of looking at it. It really is, because this show was getting lower ratings than any of the other shows. That's not good. Right, it's the trajectory. What's going on?
I heard episode 1 got 14 million views globally.
First of all, looking at global numbers, Samba had a 1.2 households. Right, they got 14 million views. Let's assume. I hope it's 50 million views, which is a great number, but lower than any other. It doesn't matter what it got. The point is that when you compare it to the other shows, it's much lower. 14 million, that's nonsense. Right. Never trust Disney. This is why they're getting sued by their own stockholders, because of the misleading numbers. I don't trust Netflix. I don't trust the numbers. Let's be honest. And that's minutes watched. 14 minutes watched. That's not the same thing. If you drop three episodes in a week, you're counting 3 episodes, 40 minutes a pop. Yeah, of course, it's going to inflate the numbers. So it's not the same thing. This is why like things like Samba would look at households and things like that in the U.S., right? I don't think they do the worldwide. So again, 1.2, which is lower than anything else, dropping down to 800,000 by last episode. It's a disaster when you compare it to what's been released prior. Right, it was barely right there with Andor, which was the lowest show, the viewership-wise, that Star Wars had. So the trajectory is going down for this, and I get you. I understand you. Like, I get it, but people, it doesn't matter.
I know. I understand.
I rather you hate the show and agree with me, and had all the fans love it, and had like and it went up by 30%. I'm like, okay, great, because at least maybe it's fine. But it's not. That's what's not happening. What's happening is no one's watching the show. Thrawn was a joke in this show. It was terrible. He was the worst villain. You're building him up to be the next Thanos, right? In the Star Wars world, he didn't do anything. Everything he did failed. Nothing he did worked. And when they first showed him, I told you that his plan to let her go was so stupid. It was moronic. Maybe he's got something up his sleeve. What does he have? Let me send 2 Lonely TIE fighters. Let me send 3 little groups of people to kill somebody. Nothing worked. He just managed to escape. That's it. Because Ahsoka had a great plan to go after the galactic ship, a little tiny shit. Like, what the fuck is she gonna do in that ship? It was stupid. It was terrible writing. What was she gonna do? Shoot it down? Nope. Go after it? Chase? Nope. What was the point of writing that into the show? It's really bad. It's horrible. Nothing happened on the show. Thrawn is terrible. And I love Thrawn. They gave Thrawn the Secret Invasion, version. What Marvel did with that property. It's terrible. They bastardized it. He's horrible, and he's your big bad guy. He's not threatening at all. He's not threatening at all, and that's the issue with the show, right? If you're building this guy up to be that guy, make him that guy. He should have kicked their ass. This could have been an Empire Strikes Back kind of thing, right? Vader was a badass. Right, and if he did work, he get foiled in the end, of course, but it's supposed to happen that way, but not because.
But he had some hard victories
right?
Too.
But it wasn't because of incompetence, right? Thrawn is like he's a tactical genius. That's what he is, and he's so good and so menacing. And he's like, he had no answer for 2 people, with one of which he could have killed 4 episodes before when he should. It made no sense. It made no sense to me. That's what I'm saying. That plan was. It was bad. Nothing worked. The Force, all of a sudden now everyone can use the Force, and she learns how to do it. Like, can push a guy through a 3-mile jump across. Come on, it's nonsense. It's just utter nonsense. I don't understand that. I really don't. And even Ezra's character, he's a guy, so he's got to be put to the side because I know it's the Force is she-man. I get it, Captain Kenny. Congratulations. I hope every female that's great in this show up, and that's why the ratings are what they are. It's call it what it is. It's not working. It's not working. The ratings, the people have spoken.
And you say the people, but if you're dropping 30%, you're still a 70% majority. That's the bigger number than the drop off. So it's working, but it didn't work as well as they were hoping to work. But it still worked. I feel like you're sort of once again reinterpreting that making the minority the more important part than the majority.
I'll give you an example. You have a grand opening, right? You saw $1 million. Oh, first day, woo! Saw the $1 million. What the company's going to be the best, and by 4 weeks later, you drop 30%. What does that tell you? The grand opening means nothing. People go out in the theaters and the movie makes tons of money. It's the second week they have that drop off. It really determines how good people like the film, right? Yeah, you're something that's hyped, you're gonna get watched. Marvel will get watched every time because it's Marvel, no doubt.
Sure.
You can have Ant-Man who opened up at 114 minutes, monster number opening. Oh, it's the greatest thing you've ever seen. Oh, what an opening!
But week 2,
and it ended up losing money. It's hard to say losing money. I get the Flash. They open at 55 losing money. You open 114.
Yeah, it was already good.
And you still lose money. That's what I'm saying, right? It's not how you start. It's how you finish. People are leaving the show of a show that's not being watched that much anyway in comparison to their other shows, right? Obi-Wan got a lot more views by far. And that wasn't a great show. But that's hurting, right? Because it's not a good show. It's like people keep getting burned. What they're doing just isn't working. That's what I'm saying. It's not working. And the masses aren't watching it. Just like with Marvel, it's deteriorating a little bit, which is why the box office isn't as high. The ratings aren't as high, which we talked about. It is what it is. And this is a good example of a show that it's not hitting with audiences. It's too inside baseball. And
to me, it's a bummer because there's so many cool ideas and things that we're doing on the series. Whether it's
I'll give you that. There's some good ideas. There's some cool scenes in there.
Some good ideas, some really interesting like takes on stuff.
Sure.
And I feel like it hasn't been appreciated yet, and I feel like sort of like how people hated the prequel trilogies and now they're loved. I think it's going to be one of those things where a lot of this stuff may take a little bit of time to hit before it becomes like, oh wow, this is actually kind of good. And I feel like that's kind of the thing because a lot of these ideas look really cool. Like the fact that Ezra was able to catch a lightsaber, that's something I've been asking for years to see. And
that's cool.
But it's sort of like that Chi Kung Fu Master aspect to it. That's awesome. I like that.
That was cool.
And I want to see more of that.
We don't get enough of that. That was a cool scene. I'll give you that. I like that in the beginning, but we don't get enough of that. That's the problem, right? It's like
or like the fact that we finally saw zombie clone troopers. Stormtroopers. I was like, that's dope. It's a kind of thing where I feel like. And we've talked about this. It's about the fact that people felt burned. If this series would have come out after season 2 of Mandalorian, holy crap, people would be gobbling this up.
I don't know.
Honestly, they would gobble this stuff.
I'm not sure. Maybe not. Maybe I don't.
I think
maybe it would have gotten a higher.
This series
It could have gotten a
is
higher.
better
It could have gotten a
Boba,
higher.
better than
No,
Obi-Wan.
agreed. I'm not a problem with that. But I think more people maybe would have watched it. But the fact people bailed on it, when people bail on it, it speaks to the quality and what people are connecting to, right? I think we could have gotten bigger numbers to open up, like a hype movie, whatever. Could have gotten.
I think the drop off would have been smaller too. I think the drop off was smaller.
Quality's quality, right? Quality's like Boba Fett had a huge opening, right? And that show sucked, but it had a big opening because people were excited.
But everyone and a huge opening because Mandalorian season 2 was so dope.
That's what I'm saying, right? So let's just substitute both of them, right? Ahsoka's better than Boba Fett. Don't get me wrong. But the quality's not there. I think people still would have bailed on it just the same. And I just don't think for this Filoniverse, it's just this Filoni, it's not for the casual fan. It's just not. Not everyone's seen Clone Wars. No one's seen Rebels for the most part.
Here's the thing. For the Filoniverse to really work, you need Jon Favreau because Jon Favreau knows how to take the inside baseball and make it for everybody.
And that's fair.
And without Jon Favreau, you get a little bit too inside baseball without that, like, but don't forget those guys on the side over here.
That's what
I think that's
right.
You need a Favreau.
And the casual audience, it's hard to connect with these characters because they're already established, and it's like, I don't know what's going on, right? This whole you and I have seen it, we know what's going on. That's fine. But with the minority, I would think when it comes to that. So, but yeah. So I mean, listen. Like I said, I didn't like it, but Star Wars in trouble. I don't know what they're gonna do.
I did like it. I thought episode 1 was good. Episode 2 and 3 were slow. Episode 4 it got a little bit better, and then to be 5 on, I was in. I'm like, this is what I wanted. This is fun Star Wars. Even the fact that the Thrawn wasn't on the top of his game, to me, I'm thinking like because he's been on this planet for the other galaxy, and he is desperate, and he is off his game. He just needs to get out. He needs to get technically one win under his belt so he can start building a bigger plan. I dug that. I like somebody. It's the same reason why I like seeing old, like bitter Luke in The Last Jedi. I like seeing someone who fell off and then maybe starts to get himself back up.
People
I like that.
Hated that. The majority hated that for whatever reason.
I know.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
I hated that too, but I appreciated what they were doing with it. Because I go, that's a look that I would love to see how he got this and just showing him there. I would have seen the getting there part. Yeah. I would have liked to see a little bit of the Golden Age stuff too, which is why I loved Mando season 2 because we got to see Golden Age Luke.
Sure,
but
agreed.
I also like the fact that I could see him being grizzled if all his choices ended up being bad. I appreciated that. So yeah,
that's curious. And I'm curious about they haven't. A big sign is they haven't announced season 2. Which is pretty telling.
Right.
That's pretty telling.
No, they did. I heard they did announce season 2.
No, nothing's been confirmed. They're undecided.
Oh, okay.
Okay. That's pretty telling because if your show is doing what right, halfway through, we've seen shows get announced after a week, and I know Netflix does it a lot. We saw it with Sandman.
Yeah.
Well, Sandman took a while. One Piece, for example, that's one. After 2 weeks,
right.
Season 2, here we go, right? They're ready to roll. Success. They know what's up. Last of Us season 2 is coming out.
Well, maybe it's the thing where sort of like Daredevil, where they're taking a moment to like go, let's really evaluate what we have to make sure.
Do that. I really hope. I mean, I know we got Skeleton Crew coming out, which I'm not excited
right.
about. Acolyte could be interesting. These shows need to hit, man. These shows need to. Because I don't want. I mean, I wish I mentioned before. We want more. Just being okay is just not good enough.
I don't want okay.
Yeah,
I want.
We want at least one great show. We need one great.
I will take between. I need great. I want to be spectacular or really interesting. You got to give me one of the two. I've never seen which is why Andor was great. It was really interesting. I really like that, and it happened to be a really good show.
But nobody wants.
Very interesting how they went about it.
No, I'm with you. Right. I love that show.
And once again. That's any views. It's a spectacular job.
Yeah, I think they need a combination of the two. Andor with whatever Filoniverse, whatever we're doing now currently, kind of blend the two, where it's a little. One's a little too adult. Yeah, sorry guys for the breakup, guys. You sounded off, Eric. That's okay. But yeah. So I mean, we'll see. I mean, it's not looking good for them right now, and I think they're all just reeling. They all take a step back. They'll just take a break. Everyone take a break. Don't give us shows so I can take a year off. It's okay. No one's gonna forget about Star Wars or more. I guarantee you that. If anything, you're gonna whet the appetite. You know, you really are. But it's disappointing nonetheless.
Give people time to process what they took in and
Right.
reevaluate what's already come. Give it a second chance maybe, and then come in with fresh eyes.
Yeah, and I really hope, man, they can't afford skeleton crew. I think that's the next one on deck. Skeleton crew. They can't afford to have that be mediocre. I don't think they can.
Yeah, it's got to be.
Because like we said, right? Let's assume a good show comes out. Maybe it's
Right.
Acolyte, whatever. No one's gonna watch it because it's got burned too many times, right? Well, I'm gonna watch a show.
Yeah.
4 shows are mediocre shows. Why am I gonna watch the 5th one? It's gonna be the same shit. So it affects that. It affects Star Wars itself. So. Yeah, so we'll see. But let's go back to Marvel. And the only non-disastrous thing here, and that's Loki coming out. 2 episodes thus far. I know it's been reviewed. It got some
glorious purpose.
Fine. It's got some good reviews for the first 4 episodes. The critics got to see. I had a friend who saw it. Before we get our takes on it, there's one thing that I think you and I can be really bothered with. Because I asked a couple of folks who saw it too. Because you and I were not a fan of Kang in the version on the Loki series. The portrayal of it.
Well, I actually no, you're wrong. I like He Who Remains. I like He Who Remains. Yeah.
Did you like the Ant-Man one?
No, the Ant-Man is the one where I thought you said the problem with Kang on Loki. The Ant-Man one I felt was sort of like he was good, but he was wasted.
Okay. No, he was wasted. We know he was wasted, no doubt.
Right. But I did like He Who Remains as the guy who's been there for eternity. The little and I like that aspect of it. Yeah.
But when I hear the biggest complaint has been Kang, surprised me.
Really?
Yeah, they're saying he's the worst out of 3. And I've heard from a lot of people have been saying that. So okay. So I'm concerned because I want to Kang.
But also that's not Kang. That's Victor Timely. That's another type of Kang.
But that's the Kang they're giving us, right? So all we know this is they keep giving us a mediocre Kang, right? No, nothing's really hit. And if he's gonna be the big baddie, right? Don't Thrawn-us. Right, give us a big bag.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. Set it up right.
If you take Kang from Ant-Man before the third act, that's the Kang we need. We want that Kang before third act Ant-Man. Before you get beat up by cybernetic trans.
I agree.
We need that Kang across the board.
Agreed, and so we'll see. So I know that he's obviously going to show up in the 3rd episode. So we'll see. But either way, so listen, the 1st episode came out, 2nd one as well. I assume you saw it yesterday. Eric.
Oh yeah,
okay, yeah. As did I. So let you go first. What do you think so far, man? I'm liking it. Are you digging it?
Dude, I dig it a lot. I love Ouroboros. I think he's a character that
he's really good.
Fits in perfectly. It just makes everything better. I love the fact that time is so broken. In the 1st episode of Loki, they completely contradict time travel from Endgame.
Oh,
it's like if you go to the past,
know.
you can't.
That.
I love that. I was like, none of it matters. It's all cool now. Yeah, doing it, guys. Who cares? I love all that. I'm in it to win it. Everything is possible. Bob's your uncle. Go for it. I love the fact that there was literally a machine that was taking timelines and putting it into a rope when they found the time weave thing. I was like, this is great. I love that they keep the aesthetic of things being like from the 60s and kind of old, but even though it's very advanced, all of it, can't say enough of it. Episode 2 was even more fun. Episode 2 took me for a second because it just kind of starts off in a weird place and doesn't address how episode 1 ended when they just walk in the guy into an alleyway that goes into
the guy, the movie store guy, whatever the guy's name
which is actually X5 from episode 1, but there's no direct correlation between the two. That's actually,
it was kind of odd. I'll give you, it was weird how they.
It was a weird, but once you figure out like, oh, but here's the thing, that's what competent storytellers do. They don't hold your hand the whole time. They take you through. Goes, you'll figure it out, and we did. And it's fun to go, oh, okay, I get it now. So take those bold shots. Don't tell everything in a very cookie cutter and safe way. Make drastic. Make people go like, what happened? Oh, okay, cool. Like that is what good, competent storytelling is. You'll figure it out because you're in on the ride. Right. Do more of that. This is what I'm talking about. Interesting, where it's not just the safest, most basic, but just take swaps, make me think for 3 seconds, make me put things together, because as I'm putting things together and I'm getting more information, it makes me feel like I'm figuring things out, even though there is no real mystery. There is, because we still don't know who pruned that Loki at the end of episode one, which is exciting. I'm like, all this is great. I'm all about it. So yeah, I'm really, to me, 8.5s, both episodes. Not amazing, but really good. Really, really good.
That's not our intention here at all.
Yeah.
I mean, I like so far like season one better because not by a little bit, but because I think season one they changed directors here, and you can notice it's not as the funness is gone. The cool factor is there, but there's something about some of the humor that the first couple episodes in the first season had. It's kind of missing here, but it's a small complaint.
You think so? I feel like the comedy's still there. It's just that they're in a much more.
It's not quite a sharp for whatever reason.
I feel like the problem is because they are under a lot of pressure, so you can't be as laid back.
Exactly, it's a different story, and I get it. But I loved about the first season, so it is what it is. Again, it's not knocking the season. You can't duplicate that because the story doesn't dictate that.
Like I'll tell you what, the jokes in episode 1, season 2, I felt were on par with season 1 funny, but I love the interrogation scene and the pie scene from episode 2. To me, that took both the funny awkwardness of their world and sort of like the intensity of their situation with Loki now being part of their world. Those two scenes in episode 2 really exemplify the growth of where everything is and the tone of what they're at. I like that a lot.
And I'm glad because this was, to me, the season 1 was the best show Marvel had for me. Out of all the shows, the one I worked the most. It wasn't perfect. It didn't end great, but I liked it. I enjoyed it. So this, I guess, so good. They can get one thing right, thank God. Because
so far, if you think about it, I mean, granted, we're only 2 out of 6 episodes, right? This is 6 episodes series.
6 still, yeah.
Okay, so if you think about it, Marvel's released 2 movies this year, Guardians and Ant-Man,
right?
And now this is their second TV series. It was Secret Invasion and now Loki. Guardians solid, Loki coming up solid. So in that case, you're batting at 500. Right now, because you're 50% good, 50% bad. Hopefully, Loki doesn't drop the ball and it ends.
I hope not.
But you don't know.
I mean,
but I'm hoping not.
History says it will, but things could happen. And like I said, only the first 4 reviews.
If they pull off a Guardians, I'm cool with it. Like just end competently.
They can stick the landing, and I'm curious to see how the implications of this moving forward with the grand scheme of everything. Which is what
absolutely.
I want to see Kang. Like I don't want to see a shitty Kang. I don't want to see that. Right. That's. Because you're setting this is the guy you're setting up, right? If he's just a villain for the show, fine, it could be fodder, fair enough. But you're setting him up to be the guy, right? The man, the Thanos, and you need to sell that. You really gotta sell that, and that's been my issue with it.
I feel like we're not getting Kang. We're getting Victor Timely,
which
a
is
variation.
Fine, but when do we see Kang? It's based off the movie releases. Are we going to see him in Captain America? No, as we talked about before, where the movies coming out, they really lend themselves to more Kang until we get to maybe Fantastic Four. But you're really going to shoehorn Kang into that? Probably not. I hope they focus.
Well, you could, because Kang is supposed to be the great descendant of Reed Richards.
For a little bit, but not that. For the movie, it'd be Doctor Doom. I assume Doctor Doom would be the focus, right? That's what I'm saying, right?
Well, no, they said Galactus is going to be the big
Galactus,
for
whomever, right? You don't want to overshadow Galactus with the shadow of Kang out there, who's going to be the big film. So it's weird. I don't know. Like, I want to see good Kang. That's the only thing going to weigh the show down for me will be the Kang. And I want to see how he is. I haven't seen it, so I don't know. I just heard it, but they could be wrong for what I know. But if that's the case, okay, let's see. But let's see. It's be a lot of surprises from what I hear from the last 2 episodes. I don't know.
All right,
so maybe
excited.
Some cameos. I don't know. Whatever.
And listen, if the show is good and you're the weakest part of a good show, that means it's still good. You're the weakest part of good.
Of course, exactly. No doubt about it. So I'm glad at least this one didn't fail like Secret Invasion did. This is way better than that. And
way better.
They know what the show should be and what it is, and they're giving. So thank God. We got a little time here, so let's talk about this one because we're boys fans here, and we had the release of Gen V. I haven't seen the 4th episode yet. I'm gonna see that probably shortly after this. But Gen V, just the a spin-off. Spin-off. Right. Now they got these superhero kids and the superhero college kind of thing. Very interesting premise. I was worried, I don't know. It's gonna be just a knockoff or try to do the same shit. I'm glad for me at least. Then they went a totally different route for the most part. The tone is there. This is very much a boy show in terms of the tone.
Very dark humor.
A lot of sexual shit going on. Violent. I love all that stuff. But
super violent,
it's a completely different kind of story being told here.
It is.
I like it. I'm enjoying. It's not as good as The Boys. No, obviously.
No.
But again, I didn't expect it to be. I really didn't.
You know what it feels like? It feels like The Boys and the movie New Mutants had a kid. That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
Because they're all in this organization, but there's people watching over them, and there's a reason why the kids think they're there, and there's a reason why they're actually there. And the staff knows it, but they don't. But they're slowly discovering
and
it.
it's still tied in because you got Bot Industries, who's obviously
obviously because that's how they get the powers, right?
Exactly,
so.
Which is cool, and I like what's going on. I like the characters. They're a good job here. I'm enjoying the show. I'm not saying it's amazing, but it's well done.
I like it, but
I'm not loving it, but I'm liking it.
I'm a little. This series, I'm almost scared to like it because I don't like. This is one where I've been hurt before by stuff like Secret Invasion that I'm like, I don't want to like it too much because if it drops the ball, then I'm gonna be disappointed in myself for letting my guard down. And I
don't think it will because the same people involved. So I'll have, and what they're giving us so far has been good. So I'm gonna I hope they stick the landing. I love the last episode with that detective guy. That was a really cool, unique superhero power, whatever you want, ability. That was really cool and all that. So they think all that shit that really works in the show, man. And then that's why I have confidence in what they're doing here.
But I heard the viewership has not been great.
Yeah, not as good as The Boys, obviously. So I don't know. I mean, let's see how it ends. I haven't taken a look at the numbers yet. I just heard whatever that means is not as great. I don't know what that means in terms of numerical, right? I don't know. I haven't looked into that, to be honest with you. But I'm enjoying it. It's good, man. Some of the humor, man. What was that first episode when she's what's it like, Cricket? Is that her name? The little girl, whatever. He turns mom and she's was having sex with a guy. He's on top of his penis. Dude, that's like wow. I was like, oh my god. It's funny because I saw that. I saw his first two episodes in the theater. Cool. Yeah, they had a screen of the first two episodes, so it's on a theater. Everybody's like, whoa, what the fuck? The whole audience is like, whoa, hello.
Well, that's the thing, man. The Boys and that universe, there's so many dick shots in this series that I'm always like, wow. It always makes you go, oh, right, it's for adults. It's not. There's no kids here. It's all for.
No, I don't think I saw any kids at the screening. I
hope
there
not.
were, like, God damn it, come on, guys. I mean, that's.
Because we had that one guy in like season 2 where he had his dick was like a python and just went after everybody.
Amazing.
And then there was that guy who shrunk into his boyfriend's dick and then he blew up inside of it. Like there's so much dick powers.
Oh, when the sexual harassment thing. That was on her, maybe whatever, and then she blew his dick up. The blood that rushed, she controlled.
Yeah.
That was fantastic. Oh my god, wow. That was wild. It's a lot of wow factors. It was really cool. It gets your attention if nothing else, and it's like this.
But then I'm also worried about, like, am I enjoying it because of the spectacle, or am I enjoying it because it's actually good? Because there's a lot of like holy shit moments, but I'm like,
that's fair. But
is it the shock value that I'm into, or is it like I'm still on the fence? And that's what I'm trying to say. I'm still on the fence.
I get it. No, and that's a fair thing, right? Because this. If not, because you're right. I mean, that helps. The spectacle always helps.
Of course, spectacle
right.
is 3/4 of the law. Absolutely, yeah.
And when it's done well, particularly when it's done well,
right?
It's so outrageous, but it fits in the world that they've created, right? It fits in. They're not doing it. It's not gratuitous for the sake of just doing it. This is what they've done. Right, they just continuing they're walking the path they laid forth for us. That's all. So it's really you're right. How it ends, but I do like the characters. Have you seen the last one? Oh no, it came out today.
No, I haven't seen. I've only seen episode 2 or 3 at this point.
Yeah, I saw the 3. Yeah, the 4th one's today, so I'm watching it later. So, but listen, I'm enjoying it. It's good. It's very good. Very good show.
All right.
Definitely better than some of the stuff we get from the other the DC and Marvel.
My critique is watch it, but protect your heart, guys. Don't give it all the way. Be interested, but like arm's distance until you know it's good.
So far so good. Hopefully it ends well. I'm enjoying it. Like I said, I want to love it. Maybe I will by the end of it. Maybe it's like
I mean, there's so many things I want to love, but then you tell me it's garbage, and I'm like, no, I feel this way. We go back and forth in it. Then I don't know how to feel about this one. Yeah, this one I'm not gonna love.
I'm on board. How I feel at the end of it. We'll see. Right? You stick the landing. We talked about. We got burned many times by other shows, particularly we talk about Star Wars, Marvel. They don't really stick the landing that much.
Sure.
Stick the landing here. If I have more confidence in them than what I have in MCU right now. I do, because they're giving us good stuff consistently at least with the Boys anyway. 3 seasons. The Boys, I liked all 3 seasons. But so good so far. I know Doom Patrol also came out, and I forgot to mention that. I don't know if you got this.
I have not seen that. I'm watching it this weekend. We'll talk about it next
they
week.
dropped 2 episodes of it. I saw both of them
Sweet.
yesterday. I forgot it was coming. I was like, oh, that's right. I thought it was going to come out at night, which I couldn't watch it. But then I heard they released it early. I'm like, oh, so I could watch it. So I dropped it too. We'll talk about Doom Patrol, next week and all that. It would be 3 episodes in. But yeah, but that being said, who's wishing as this disasters, turn into gold. I'm hoping,
That's how we make diamonds.
Under
pressure
squeeze,
it becomes diamonds. So let's really get some diamonds up in here.
Get the actors back to work already. Let's get this done, for Christ's sake. Whatever. It is what it is. But that being said, Eric, them's are the nuggets for the week.
Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We always appreciate you guys coming here to the YouTube channel for the Latin Nerd Network. You watch shows such as Nerdsplaining, The Watch List, Downlist Choice, and other shows coming up along the way. We promise. Don't forget, you can also follow us on social media at Nerdsplaining Pod on Instagram, at Nerdsplaining_ on X, Twitter. Let us know what you thought about the episode. Let us know what you thought about the shows. Let us know what you wanted to talk about for the next show. If you are a fan of the show, you can also go to ericdasilva.com, EricDasilva. You can buy my album, Adorably Offensive. I'm currently on the road in Cocoa Beach, Florida right now. I will be in Minneapolis in December. I got some other shows we're trying to line up for November and for next year, but keep going to ericdasilva.com for those dates as well. If you want, if you're a fan of comic books, or you got kids who are into comic books, or you're an adult trying to get your kids into comics, check out my graphic novel, Danger Squad, where we have you can see some of the artwork. We have some new information we put up. We just released the colored cover, which if you follow us on all the social medias on that or on the website, you can see that as well. And don't forget, if you are a fan of mine, you can buy my album, Adorably Offensive, on the website as well. And let us know what you thought. Let us know what you didn't like. We're always here for you. Really appreciate it. As always, guys, I've been Eric Da Silva. This has been Jose Romero. We have been Nerdsplaining. And if you don't know, now you know. Boom.
Bam.